At the corporate party, my cheating wife's boss confronted me. Now she's his to control. My revenge was immediate and merciless. Asterisk, asterisk. The corporate party was supposed to be a grand celebration. My wife, Anissa, had been eagerly anticipating it for weeks. She went all out, buying a luxurious emerald gown, booking an appointment with a professional stylist, and even insisting that I wear my sharpest suit. She wanted us to appear as the perfect couple, the kind that others envied. But as we stepped into the dazzling ballroom of the St. Gallen Grand Hotel, I could feel the fragile illusion between us, stretched thin and ready to snap. For the past 6 months, Anissa had been growing more distant. Her laughter lacked sincerity, and her late-night meetings at work had become increasingly frequent. I'd noticed the whispers and exchanged glances at her office events. And then there was him, Ulrich von Hauer, her CEO. Ulrich was a man who carried himself as if he owned the world, and in many ways he did. Everything about him screamed power. The tailored suits, the luxury cars, the undeniable arrogance. His presence dominated the party, and every time he moved, I noticed Anissa's gaze flicker toward him like a moth drawn to a flame. It didn't take a genius to piece together what was happening. But I needed solid proof, and tonight, I was determined to get it. As the evening progressed, I nursed a whiskey at the bar, watching Anissa flit between groups of colleagues, her smile too bright, her movements jittery. Ulrich hovered nearby, his touch on her hand too casual, his whispers drawing her easy, knowing smiles. Then came the moment that confirmed my worst fears. Anissa excused herself to the powder room, and Ulrich followed moments later. My pulse quickened. Abandoning my drink, I quietly tailed them down the hallway. They didn't head toward the restrooms. Instead, they slipped into a private lounge, the door clicking shut behind them. I pressed my ear against the wood, stomach churning as I caught fragments of their conversation. "I'm tired of hiding." Ulrich's voice was low, but filled with smugness. "When are you going to tell him?" Anissa hesitated. "Ulrich, you don't understand. Julian isn't stupid. He'll do nothing." Ulrich interrupted, his tone dripping with contempt. "Men like him are spineless. Besides, once I'm done with him, he won't even have the means to fight back." My fists clenched, but I forced myself to remain calm. This wasn't the moment to act. Not yet. When they finally emerged, Anissa looked flustered, her gaze darting nervously around the ballroom. Ulrich, on the other hand, exuded confidence, like a predator certain of its victory. I returned to the bar, feigning indifference, but my mind was racing. Later that night, as the party wound down, Ulrich approached me. Placing a heavy hand on my shoulder, he smiled, a smug, empty gesture. "Julian, isn't it?" he said, voice laced with condescension. "Anissa speaks highly of you. Says you've always been supportive of her career." I forced a polite smile. Of course. Her success means everything to me. "Well," he continued, leaning in so only I could hear, "you'd better keep that attitude. Because from now on, she's mine to control. You'll support her and your worthless life, or I'll make sure you have nothing." I stared at him, momentarily stunned by his audacity. Before I could respond, he clapped my shoulder once more and walked off, his laughter echoing in my ears. That night, as Anissa slept beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Ulrich thought he could take everything, my wife, my dignity, my stability. But he had underestimated me. If he wanted a fight, I would give him one. And I would win. The counterattack. The next morning, I began assembling my weapons. I reached out to old friends in the finance sector, people who owed me favors. On the surface, Ulrich's reputation was untarnished, but no one rises to his level without skeletons in their closet. And my contacts delivered. Within days, I had an extensive dossier detailing his offshore accounts, falsified financial reports, and worst of all, a hush-money payout to cover up a previous affair with another employee. Next, I turned my focus to Anissa. I tracked her phone, placed a discreet recording device in her car, and monitored her emails. It didn't take long to uncover what I needed: explicit messages between her and Ulrich, discussing their plans for a future together. Each word felt like a dagger to the heart, but I refused to let the pain cloud my judgment. This wasn't just about betrayal, it was about justice. The grand finale. Ulrich was hosting a high-profile investor gala the following weekend, an event that would shape the future of his company. It was the perfect stage for his downfall. I anonymously tipped off a financial journalist, providing irrefutable proof of Ulrich's offshore accounts and fraudulent activities. At the same time, I sent copies of the affair messages to the company's board of directors, ensuring his personal and professional worlds would collide in the most spectacular fashion. The night of the gala, I arrived with Anissa, playing the role of the supportive husband. She seemed uneasy, her eyes flickering toward Ulrich every few minutes, but she suspected nothing. Midway through the evening, as Ulrich delivered a speech about integrity and innovation, the energy in the room shifted. Phones buzzed with breaking news alerts. Whispers spread like wildfire. The journalist had published the exposé in real time, complete with damning evidence. Panic took hold. Board members, who had been in attendance, immediately convened an emergency meeting. Ulrich faltered on stage, his confidence crumbling. But I wasn't finished yet. As the chaos unfolded, I turned to Anissa. "You might want to check your email," I said calmly. Frowning, she pulled out her phone. Her face turned ashen as she read through the messages I had forwarded, the very words she had shared with Ulrich. "Julie, she stammered. I cut her off coldly. "Save it. You made your choice. Now you live with the consequences." By the end of the night, Ulrich's career was over. The board voted for his removal, and law enforcement was waiting to question him about his offshore accounts. Anissa, caught in the fallout, was fired. Her dreams of a life with Ulrich crumbled before her eyes. The next morning, I filed for divorce, securing the majority of our assets in the process. Anissa begged for forgiveness, but I was done. She and Ulrich had tried to ruin me, but in the end, they were the ones left with nothing. As I walked out of the courthouse, I felt a peace I hadn't known in months. Justice had been served. Ulrich's arrogance had been his downfall. He believed he could control me. But he forgot one crucial truth. A man with nothing to lose is the most dangerous of all.